Satnam Yogis and Yoginis. Hello, welcome back one more time to one more part in this yoga course on mantras. And we are approaching the end of this long journey we have initiated so long ago with all these exploration of the sounds of the alphabet, of the Sanskrit alphabet or mantric alphabet, because the Gurumukhi one would sound the same. And we have been going through the vowels and the semi-vowels and the consonants in order, going down through the body according to this little diagram that I drew for you to have a map of how the sounds vibrate in the body. And we are coming down. Kakha chacha jajanya tathadadana tathadadana papavama shersha saham. Well, hum would be like vibrating in the fifth chakra, yeah? But we're going to focus on the sibilants. And if we were looking at these different positions of in the mouth where we pronounce the sounds from the gutturals forward towards the lips, the sibilants are already outside of the lips. So that's coming out, is the sound that is coming out. So this is the sounds that we're going to be exploring today, and it's really the last ones that we're going to explore. We could do, of course, more. We could go more in depth with some of them. We could go more in depth with the semi-vowels. We didn't go too much in those, but I think it was progressively getting deeper. As we were going into the alphabet, we would explore more aspects, not just the sound, but then which position of the word does the sound influence, and what happens if we combine it with another sound, and so on and so forth. So now we're going to be concluding this with the S. Now the sibilants S and Sh, these two sounds, we're going to explore them, of course, as usual, with the fabulous book by Margaret Magnus. And just at the very beginning of the book, she quotes, let me show you. This is the Aitareya Aranyaka Upanishad, and it mentions how the consonants form the body, the vowels are the soul, and the sibilants are the air of the breath. That's interesting. There's another quote also from this Upanishad, something like, the consonants represent the earth, the vowels are heaven, and the sibilants are the sky between earth and heaven. So that's a nice metaphor. I like this metaphor because it's like consonants are the earth, consonants are the structure, is what gives a structure to the sound, yeah, and to the meaning of the words. And the vowels are what give it life, yeah, the structure and life. And the life comes from heaven somehow. But we cannot pronounce any sound really without breath. So the breath is in between those two. And so the sounds of sound, yeah, the sound of is the sound of the air coming out of our mouth, and so the sound of breath. So, breath of life, yeah? So this breath of spirit, yeah, spirit when we inspire, yeah, we bring the spirit in, inspire. To inspire means to do that, to inhale. And so the spirit lives in our breath. So this is the sound we're going to be talking about today, and let us explore in her book. She includes this section we already talked about a few times, the 83 alphabet. Let's explore what the S means in this alphabet. The S is the willow tree, and 5. I don't know. This is just a number. Witch, full moon, consumer of water, orgiastic, and snake bird. Well. S is the sound of the snake bird. And orgiastic and water. Full moon and water are so connected. Yeah, the moon attracts the body of water like the tides of the sea. And witches are associated with a very watery energy. Yeah, and the full moon for doing their recipes and their whatever the witches do. Yeah. So very interesting that this S is being connected to a feminine energy, connected to this witch and the moon and the water. So it's all very feminine, all very yin. And we're going to see today how the S sound is so connected to the energy of the Kundalini. Yeah, the Kundalini snake, Kundalini serpent energy. And Kundalini being a feminine energy in the sense that we call it Kundalini Shakti. Yeah, and we say that as Shakti wants to reach the top of our head, it merges with Shiva. So Shiva is the representation of the masculine principle of, we could say like the primary intelligence of God. Yeah, and that primary principle, that masculine principle, and we as all being like feminine souls. Yeah. Wanting to merge with this kind of masculine principle. It's just a way of representing it. And in this way, we would say that the Kundalini is a feminine energy that is latent and is asleep and it needs to wake up. Yeah? So that's an interesting, the Aristotelian alphabet relating it to this energy is sleeping. Now, water energy, as we associate it generally with the second chakra, but if you haven't seen, I have a video on the 3 caves in the body, and I explain how there is the cave in the mouth, then there is the cave in the heart, Hridaya Guha, sometimes called Buddhi Guha, and then we have this is Gyan Guha, and this is Bish Guha, yeah? And in Bish Guha, this is between the first, I would associate it between the first and the third chakra, and the entrance being through the first one, where Muladhara is the base, the base chakra, and in this cave is where there is the symbol is like a stone phallus, that's the symbol of Shiva, and the Kundalini snake is coiled in it. So that's this watery energy would be sleeping down there. So the S sound is definitely going to be affecting this snake and stimulating it and possibly waking it up. So let's take a look at what Margaret Magnus has to say about the sound itself. What does S mean? Yeah, sound itself, what does S mean? So many S's today. So it begins more words than any other English consonants. Yeah, so it's, it gives rise to many words. It runs along the surface of something and reinforces it. We will see some examples of that. But at the end of a word, it multiplies it. So at the end makes it even stronger than at the beginning. Linear, strong, smooth, and flexible. I mean, definitely you can see a snake here, yeah? Linear and strong and smooth, flexible. Together with T becomes stoic and stubborn. With K, scrapes and scratches. It's a skin. Powering, so these are some examples. Pouring becomes spouting. Mashing becomes smashing. Pikes becomes spikes. Lashing becomes slashing. So every one of these sounds, yeah, mashing, smashing, yeah, pike, spike, lashing, slashing. The S is going to make it so much stronger. It reinforces that sound. So that's something interesting to have in mind when we are looking at mantras which begin with S, like Sat City, yeah, Sat City, Siri Akal, for example. That's going to be making stronger whatever comes afterwards. About 25 of the S words are related to the serpent. 25 of the words with the S relate to the serpent. That's incredible, huh? I guess she says that the serpent is a he. I don't know why, but she's writing it like that. The serpent is smooth, suave, sly and sneaky, slips and slides and slithers, sweeps, sways and seduces, and then strikes his prey or squeezes and smothers it. He never chews the food. He always swallows it whole and then snoozes, which is sleep, yeah? And she associates it to the Garden of Eden. We will see it in a moment, what she means by that. But very, very interesting, yeah? The movement, yeah, this swerving, this slithering, this being smooth and soft. Let's as I'm saying these words, try to make an association with the Kundalini energy, right? Which is snoozing, it's sleeping down at the base, but then he may wake up, and when he wakes up with this movement like that. And I just remember now, I had a good friend of mine who was meditating one day. She's a very good practitioner, a very good meditator. She has a lot of hours of practice. And one day she had an awakening of the Kundalini, and she felt it literally as a snake going up her back. That's exactly how she felt it. And she said, I went right on top of her like one of these cobras with the hood open, right on top of her, like in these drawings that you may find about Shiva. And she said, look, this is not metaphorical, it is really like a snake. She was telling me, it felt really like a snake. And it was like an awakening of consciousness, going even higher than the seventh chakra, right? But this awakening on top of her. So very interesting that this Kundalini snake can come like this, soft and go up. Yeah. Let's take a look at the sh as well, even though we are going to pay more attention to the s, but let's take a look at what she says about the sh. It's much shorter. She says, sh, this is s, the capital S, this is the sound of sh. Yeah? It's a shell which protects from the elements, but it is superficial and brittle. And now I'm thinking of the egg of a serpent, the egg of a snake egg. It can break, crash, smash, dash, quash, bash, mash. But sh is a phoneme that of shoulds and shouldn'ts. What you should do, what you shouldn't do, which is again interesting, connecting it to the Garden of Eden, and we will see more about the Garden of Eden. But this concept of what we should and what we shouldn't do, which is part of the mythology around the Garden of Eden. It either plays the part of the indignant neighbor and gets shocked at shameful behavior, or it plays the indifferent and shrugs it all off. Like, so what? So? Who cares? So, all right, the indignant neighbor, or indifferent and shrugs it all off. So, interesting. Let's keep that in mind. And let's read now what she has to say about this Garden of Eden. So there is a whole section in the book at the end. There was one on the Grail. We talked about the Grail when we were talking about the G, and I mentioned that we would cover the S as well. And now we are here with the S. This is the serpent. And she mentions how many of the words are associated to the serpent's basic qualities. From the body, serpent and snake, to the name. The body is like the skin, the skull, the spine. The shape, skinny, slender, slight, slim. The texture, slick, smooth, soft. How it moves. So, scoot, scuttle, skid, scrape, slide, squiggle, sways, circles, sudden, how it kills, to the fact that it hypnotizes us, Spell, stare, stun, soon. It's interesting because this concept of hypnotizing is something we do a lot in yoga, because we often stare at a point and we keep the eyes focused on that point. When we do it on the outside, that's like Tratakam, like a practice of Tratakam. But I mean also like in the inside when we do the drishti, looking at the third eye or looking at the tip of the nose. In a meditation, we are staring at it. And that's a little bit like, when the snake looks at you and you lock eyes with the snake and it hypnotizes you. I'm thinking how we are already hypnotized by Maya, and we fall into the trap of these three illusions of Maya, and we are trapped into this perception of the world in which we feel separate from everything and and this body is gonna die. I'm gonna be lost. I'm gonna lose this opportunity. This whole perception of Maya is like a hypnosis that the mind has been attracted to and the mind is holding to, and it is a requirement for us to get out of the hypnosis through awakening of the consciousness and separating it from the mind. So doing the separation between consciousness and mind. Now, in order to do that, how interesting that in meditations we are using the eyesight, because the eyes are the sense that is more dominant for the mind. So the mind is more attracted by what we see than what we smell or what we hear or what we feel. Yeah, actually the sensation of touch, for example, is going to open much more our consciousness rather than the mind. But what we see, we get distracted very easily and our mind engages and we start producing thoughts. So since the mind is so connected to the eyes, and you can tell what somebody is more or less thinking by the way they look at their eyes. There's a lot of studies on this. So by looking the eyes, we are in some way like hypnotizing the mind to get it out of the hypnosis from Maya. And that's like the snake, yeah? Looking at the third eye or looking at the tip of the nose, this is like the snake looking at you, hypnotizing you. And in a way, what you are doing is waking up the Kundalini energy in you through this hypnosis of the mind into one point focus. Yeah? That's going to awaken the Kundalini, which Kundalini is just basically your consciousness in some way. I'm just making it simple right now, but maybe we will talk about Kundalini in some other video more in depth. But right now, let's just put it this way. Kundalini needs to wake up. It wants to wake up. And it's asleep for the moment. And this concept of hypnosis, how the snake may hypnotize an animal, that seems very interesting. So there's a lot of S sounds, striking, spitting, all these. You can see how many of these words you could find it connected to the snake. To the way it is, the sleeping, I put here Kundalini just to remind myself, no? How sleep, slumber, snooze, snore, soon, siestas, Spanish siestas, they are so connected to this energy, which is the main state is asleep, and we need to wake it up. But then she goes also into the story in the Bible on the Garden of Eden, and how, for some reason, it's a very hot phoneme. I don't know what she means by that. But she explains, the different environments. It's spring, sultry summer, and the sea, the sun, the salt. So she associates it to heat. I don't know. Somehow, how is this connected to yoga? But let's leave it like that. I have a few ideas, but I don't want to, that could be too much, trying to go too far into understanding the metaphors. Sometimes it's just too much. Let's just take it as it is. So talk about the area of the Garden of Eden, describes it with all these S sounds, if you read the story. Then Eve goes forth in search of something, and there's this seeking aspect. Very interesting, seeking, the word seeking. And seek, like in Sikh Dharma, the word seek means a seeker, somebody who is seeking the truth. So, and the truth is Sat Nam, Sat, the S sound, So could it be that, the S, this sound and this truth is connected somehow to this Kundalini energy? Comes upon the person of the snake, and there is all these sounds. And it's very interesting that she associates the snake with Satan, The snake is certainly a satanic figure, but it also seems to have the qualities of the sage and the Swami. It's interesting that the soul, spirit, and the self are all in S. They all start with the S, soul, spirit, and self. And she goes on to the prophet, sacred sage, saint, samurai, Swami, the sultan, sadhu, sahib, city, the self, soul, and the spirit. So it seems that, as always, we have these two aspects which are going to be you can go into one or you can go into the other. Yeah, like every aspect in life, really, there is a karma and there is a dharma, there is a karmic aspect and there is a dharmic aspect. And with the S sound, you're going to have a karmic aspect, which is more like the sneaky, sleazy snake that is trying to squeeze you and smother you, and is satanic and is evil and is sin, and it's about the sin and sinister, and it's the scum of the earth, right? It's terrible description. But then there's the dharmic side. And that's when you align yourself with the soul, wake up that self, and then becoming a swami or a sadhu, a sadhaka, one who practices sadhana, and being in the sangat, in the presence of sangat, in the presence of truth, sat, realizing you are Satchitananda, this soul waking up and becoming a sage. So there is the karmic and there is the dharmic aspect, and these two are always so connected. Yeah. Let's see what else. The snake speaks to Eve, and the S verbs are verbalizing involving speaking and seduction. Those in T are didactic, in B are bombastically blathering, blaming, blessing, and bothering. In F, they are flying. But the S verbs are verbal behavior specifically suited to the serpent, and she includes a number of words. She promises her wisdom, the wisdom of the snake. Actually, I would say, if you had to put a pronoun to the snake, I would say it's more like a she, more than a he, because of this water energy and the wave, Waves are like the sea are like waves. So, okay. She eats of the tree, now he's talking about Eve, and learns of sin. And the implication is that this sin specifically concerns about sex. And, all these terms about sex, connected to sex, sex is linked to the second chakra. And as I mentioned before, this cave is between the first and the third, and the snake around the stone, that would be being a feminine energy, being associated to the second energy, the energy of the second chakra. So sometimes is mentioned that the Kundalini energy is a sexual energy. In the same way that sex has the possibility to give birth to a baby, It's the planting of the seed and the growing of the seed that can produce eventually a new baby, new life, a new soul, giving opportunity to a new soul to descend into this planet. So, in some way, Kundalini, the Kundalini energy has this sexual energy in the sense that it can create new life, it can create it has the potential to call on the spirit, and that's our own spirit now. So when we are waking up, our Kundalini is like gathering this sexual energy and raising it through the spine, instead of using it for reproduction, but raising it through the spine, bringing it to the brain. Actually, there is a term in Sanskrit for the sexual essence called ojas, but it's the same term for the liquid, for the sum of the essence in the brain. Let's say the liquid in the brain, and we would call that ojas as well. So it, in a way, is like the refinement of this sexual energy is to, rather than putting it for procreation, putting it to creative endeavors, right? And it's our creativity. As you wake up your Kundalini energy, you become more creative and more artistic, and you want to express yourself in different ways. You can find many devout yogis and meditators who are very rational and following the structure and following the principles of yoga and doing their practices, their sadhana very strict. And at some point, as they get realized, they suddenly become poets. And they start speaking in poetry. And you're like, what happened there, right? So this flowering, this opening, this blooming of the human consciousness goes very much linked to this awakening of the creative aspect in us. And I believe it's connected to this, Kundalini being a creative energy, a sexual energy that is utilized to raise it to the higher chakras and awakening our higher consciousness, connecting it to our higher self. And that has a creative aspect and calls upon our own self to crystallize, but also the creative aspects within us. All that in the letter S. Can you believe? So let's finish with this. Then God banishes them from the garden. There is an argument, there's a spite and squabble and so on. And they are confined to a life of sorrow and scarcity. This is the karmic aspect of the S again, yeah? Sob, sorrow, sour, suffering, scarcity, scant, scrimp. Scrimp? I don't know what scrimp is. Scraps, yeah? Okay. Very interesting this, huh? Well, let's come back to it in a moment. Else also contains Eve's new reaction to the snake, and these sounds are all appropriate to exactly the situation of coming upon a snake. So when we come upon a snake, we don't yell and shout and call and bellow, but rather we scream and screech and squawk and squeak and squeal, or want to stomp it, yeah? So this is interesting, yeah, because there are other synonyms like yell and shout, but the S itself, and even though shout is sh, but the S itself is more about how we react when we come upon a snake. All right, so all these lists of words, this is 46% of the 861 monomorphemic words which start with S. That's incredible. 46% of the words have already been covered in these sections here. So, does sound be associated to meaning? Well, you see, when half of the words with one sound can be linked to one particular meaning, we can say yes, it does. Oh, there was the other thing about the sorrow and the scarcity of the S. I didn't mention this. I wanted to point it out also. Sorrow is like water. It's like sadness and is melancholy. And, when we are very sad, we cry. Cry is water again, no? So going back to this water energy, like the Aristotelian alphabet, relating it to the seas. And scarcity is about emptiness, is about what we don't have, which again is very much linked to the second chakra being in the cave, in the lower cave of the body, which is linked to our necessities and our needs. Second chakra talks about what we need. And so our emptiness, the void we want to fill in. So that is especially, so what it's saying here is that when the S manifests in the more karmic way, then it manifests more as the feeling of scarcity and void and needs and sorrow. So that we should be aware of that. We should be mindful that that is the more karmic expression of the energy in the second chakra, how easily we can go into that scarcity mentality, which is opposite to the abundance mentality and even more prosperity mentality. I would say there is like a progression from scarcity to abundance to prosperity. Another topic for some other video. Someday in the future there will be time to do all these videos. But this is the S. 46% of the S words with link to this snake energy and this mythology of the Garden of Eden. Very, very representative, very interesting. And that's the S. That's the conclusion of the S. And that's the conclusion of all the sounds, all the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. Incredible journey we have done. If you have been with us, really, all of us who are watching these videos, and you have done all the parts and chanted all of this, I congratulate you. Yeah, well done. Good job. It was a long journey covering all these sounds. And we will now start to explore bringing it into your practice as you chant the mantras. How does it feel? What is happening? Bringing into your words, to your name. Yeah, if your name is Sarah, for example, I don't know. I just thought of it. I didn't prepare this. But if your name is Sarah, The S, yeah, there is this awakening of the S energy, and we just talked about it. And the R, Ra, this is the bija sound for the third chakra, you will remember. Yeah, so Sara, Sa would be here, and Ra would be the third chakra. Sara, Sara. So that's certainly, yeah, there's like an awakening, like a rising, Sara, Sara. And the R is an active sound. You will remember that whatever sound it comes with, it activates it. So the T being one line with the R activates you in that line. So it moves you in that line, being traveling on a trip, yeah? And a trek, you remember? So the T was one straight line, but the R is going to activate the sound. So the S being the snake, the R is going to activate the snake. So Sara is a very prosperous name for somebody to practice this kind of yoga. And just changing the vowels, we have city. Yeah? I'm not talking about the phone and the city app. That is a very clever name to put that name on the phone. But anyway, a city is a very common word that we find in many mantras, yeah? And we even call, when it's a great mantra, like the Siddhi Gayatri mantra, right? We put Siddhi in the front. A mantra that starts with a lot of B sound, by the way, Om Bhurbuva, Swaha. Another sound with the S, Swa. Interesting, Swa, because it connects the S with the Wa. And the Wa, you will remember, it was the bija sound of the second chakra, and that's where the snake is. So, the S is all around the base, yeah, the first and second chakra, yeah? So, Swa, Swaha, yeah? Swaha. Very interesting. Swa, waking up, ha. Ha, I mentioned, I'm pointing it to the fifth chakra, but I mentioned also how much ha is air coming out, and air is the lungs are in the heart. So in a way, it's like rising the energy, at least to the heart, if not to the throat, yeah? But at least to the heart, swaha, 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 yeah? Or when we are chanting like in the Agnihotra ceremony, when we are chanting the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, and we want to empower it, we chant swaha at the end, yeah? Om Trayambakam Jajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Swaha. And that swaha is when we put ghee into the fire and we burn, yeah? So swaha is going to be activating the mantra. Remember, this would be at the very end of the mantra. Remember when we started talking about the S, how at the beginning is like pike becomes a spike, yeah? And I said when you put it at the end, it's going to multiply the sound. So in some way, this swaha at the end of the whole mantra is going to multiply the sound of the mantra. Could it be? Could it be connected? It makes sense to me. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is a whole science on this, and there is a book that talks about these details. And if somebody knows it and somebody has found such a book, please share it with us, because I'm very interested. To me, I'm just connecting things, yeah? And it makes a lot of sense that this mantra would finish with this swaha. And when you do swaha, that's when you throw the ghee into the fire. So swaha, yeah? That's when you're burning the ego, yeah? The karma, swaha. Which, I don't know if I talk about this swaha. I think I mentioned it in some other video, how I connect it to Waheguru, yeah? Swaha is very similar to Wahe. So I believe that the Wahe from Waheguru in the Sikh Dharma comes from the swaha, which is more from the old classic texts and older mantras. So there we go. That's the S sound for you. And it's just starting to put things together and explore it in your name. If you are named Sarah or Samuel or whatever your name is, explore it. Explore how does it feel to have that name. Those of you who get a spiritual name, this is very interesting, yeah, because you are given a name that is going to be aligned with your destiny. So let's say you are called Sara, and then they give you a spiritual name, and it's Siri Prakash, for example. Yeah, Siri being so connected to Sara, but then Prakash, yeah, Kash ending with sh, like Akash, like the Akash, like the space, yeah, in the ether. Sorry, ether, yeah. So the sh at the very end, no, starting with s, ending with sh, Siri Prakash. So that's I don't want to analyze it, but I would say, because it could be many things, but you can take these lists of words and explore it in your life. How do they resonate? And how do they resonate in both directions, in the karmic and in the dharmic way? Because if we know what are the karmic manifestations that are happening associated to my name, and I know the potential for them as dharmic, my destiny, my path is to help myself move from the karma to the dharma, and so transform those very same qualities and make them dharmic. Because if you have the S sound in your name, you're going to have the snake energy. It's going to be in there. But it depends on your attitude and your consciousness that is going to manifest more in the more karmic way, or it's going to transform in the dharmic way. And that's our path, yeah, to become more aligned with the dharmic path. So that's the very end of the S. We will do one last part probably to get some final conclusions on this course, and then I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna do some other videos on yoga stuff, but then the next course is gonna be on the Mul mantra. I'm gonna take one mantra, and I'm gonna go sound by sound, word by word, and we're gonna do a meditation exploring what every sound means. And we're gonna take Mul mantra from the Sikh Dharma, the very first sentence of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the sacred book of the Sikhs. It would be equivalent to the Bible for the Christians, or the Quran for the Muslims. And we're gonna take that very first sentence, and we're gonna go sound by sound in 11 or so different episodes, parts of this course. And we're going to do it a meditation, exploring what that sound means. So that we were going to put into practice everything that we have been seeing now that was completely general just for the main alphabet. We're going to see it in practice in a different course. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to connect it to numbers, because that's my other passion. Yeah, mantra, yoga, numbers, these are my passions. And I believe we can go slowly, because that mantra goes slowly. The first sound, the second word, the third word, the fourth word, and exploring how the numerology qualities appear into those sounds. That's putting a little bit of honey on your tongue in case you finish this course and you want something else. So this is my way to promote that course that is coming up very, very soon. But in the meantime, it was lovely to be sharing all this wisdom that I received on mantras. And as we say, you have to share it or you lose it. So this is my way to share it openly through YouTube. And I hope you enjoyed it and it was of some service to you. If so, as usual, it's not difficult to just like the video, put a comment. If you don't like writing comments, just put an emoji, I don't know, something, because it's definitely useful for YouTube to know that it's being watched, that the videos are interesting, that some people are interested in them, and so it opens the videos to more people. The more people we attract to these videos, the more people can bring comments that are interesting. Check the comment section on these videos. I try to give detailed comments when somebody writes, and there is also more interesting stuff in there. So please share with us. And until next time, many blessings. Sat Nam.